name is Iannielli, and normally I do videos on my experiences being transgender, and I am also doing videos on autism because my son is autistic. And in this video, I'm going to try to draw parallels between my experiences of being transgender and my son's experience of being autistic, because I personally can see many similarities between my son's struggles and my struggles. I know that autism is very prevalent today, and there are a lot more children being diagnosed with this condition, and it's very alarming. I don't know the current statistics, but there was, I think, the more concrete amount that I remember specifically was 1 in 166 children diagnosed with autism. However, I don't think that is accurate. I think that it has come to a higher percentage. And I also am aware that autism is more prevalent in boys than girls. However, they do have medical evidence that girls also are diagnosed with autism, and they also believe that with respect to girls, that due to their general nature of being shy, they may not be properly labeled as autistic, but in reality they most likely are. So there are a lot of factors in determining the actual percentages of transgender children today. But I'm not really concerned about the numbers as much as I'm concerned about the lives of these children and the struggles that they have to bear. My son struggles on a daily basis. He has lots of problems in his social surroundings, and that is why he currently is enrolled in a residential school. He happens to be a 6-hour drive away, so I don't get to see him that often. So that wears on me because I'm always thinking about my son and worrying about him. But I do know that he's in a good facility and they're taking good care of him, and they are very much in communication with us, and we can speak to our son daily. So I'm calling him on a regular basis, and I miss him, but I also know that when he comes home it's very enjoyable because we get to share and do things as father and son. And I just think my son is making progress, and I'm very pleased, and that's the most important thing, because when he was going to school here in Levittown, New York, he was bounced around from school to school, and he was struggling, and it was very difficult, and we were very perplexed with finding him the proper school environment. It seemed that the school district couldn't find the appropriate school setting for him, and wound up going from one school to another with a lot of um, problems with the continuity of his education. He lost a lot in his educational requirements. So it became very alarming, and we were very concerned. And we had a lot of meetings with the school district to figure out what the best options were for him. He was in BOCES. He was in one-on-one classes where the classrooms were approximately no more than 8 children. He was not mainstreamed for the majority of his schooling, but when they decided to mainstream him, that's when disaster occurred, and he just couldn't handle it. And my son had lots of behavioral problems, so on occasion the school would suspend him and he would be home, and we would have to get a tutor through the school district that would come and teach him a couple of hours. But he was losing out on being in a schooling environment, and he wasn't getting the full academic education that he's supposed to get. So it was very frustrating, and we were at wit's end trying to figure out what we should do. My wife and I didn't know what to do, and we had a social worker that was appointed by the school district to come to our house, and she would sit with us at least once a week and discuss Maddie's situation, and she was very helpful, and she had a very loving interest in our son. She was very professional, but she was very touched by our son, and she wanted the best for him. And she was wonderful because she would come to all the meetings, well, as many meetings as she could, when we had meetings with the school district. So she was very supportive, and she also was very supportive with my wife, and would go on occasion with her to support groups for parents of autistic children. And she also worked with my wife to find camps, programs, and after-school activity programs for my son. So she was very instrumental in our son's life and in our life as well. And she taught us parenting skills for dealing with our autistic son. So she was very valuable to us. Unfortunately, she no longer comes to our house because our son is away in a residential school. But on occasion, we speak to her on the phone. She's always thinking of us and our son, obviously. And she's a wonderful person, and we're very touched by all she has done for us and our son and the family. Autism is a very difficult struggle, and I feel for my son. He has lots of emotional problems. He has difficulty connecting with others, making friends. It's heartbreaking. And I am struggling with my own issues with gender, and I'm in the middle of my transition from male to female, and that hasn't been an easy road. And it has been difficult on my family and my son, but I explained to my son about it, and I was very concerned how it would affect him, and I was very gentle in my transition with him in the household, and I respected his feelings and I discussed it with him. And I said, no matter what, Maddie, I'm your dad. I'll always be your dad, even if I'm transitioning to become a woman. I love you. I always will love you. And I will always be your father. Um, but I have to do what I have to do for my own inner peace and happiness. And this will be the best thing for all of us. And he understood. And he said, Daddy, I love you no matter what. It doesn't matter. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. And my son is a very empathetic young kid who's very, very kind, caring, loving, and he just has such a wonderful way about him. And it just pains me that he has to struggle so much. And I always wonder why. And I've questioned God and prayed, but I believe we all have our challenges in life. But we learn, and we hopefully will gain from those challenges. Our lives have meaning and purpose, and I believe the struggle is worth it if it makes us a better person. Certainly my transgender struggles have made me a better person, and I'm much happier now living as a transgender woman. And I know my son will overcome his challenges, and I hope that he will mature into a young man and hopefully one day become independent. And we certainly have high hopes for him and are preparing to support him with his future education. Hopefully he will be able to attend college and find a passion that will inspire him. He does express an interest in computers, and he's mentioned he may want to study computer science. So I'm hoping that that's the case, but we would ease him into that by enrolling him at Nassau Community College, where he can get 2 years there in computers and mathematics, and then see where he goes from there. But obviously he first has to successfully complete his education, and he's currently going to a special residential school upstate in it'll come to me, but it's about 45 minutes further from Ithaca, New York, and the name of the school is Hillside, and it's a wonderful school, wonderful campus, wonderful staff. He's getting wonderful treatment, wonderful education, and we're very happy with his progress. They also make arrangements to drive him home and pick him up. We only have to go if there are critical school meetings. Otherwise we conduct them over the telephone. And we are very pleased with the school that he is currently going to. So we are happy now that he is doing better. We also have worries because he has complained at times that he's homesick, that he has no friends, that he gets bored, that he misses us, that he hates being so far away, but we we always encourage him and we tell him that this is the best thing for you and you have to try to reach out, talk to staff, try to feel more comfortable in making friendships, and never lose hope. We are there for you and we always will be, and you just have to be you just have to have faith, and he listens, and he knows that we want what's best for him. One of our major concerns, obviously, is that he is finding his way, maturing, and growing. He's at a difficult age. He's going through puberty. He's 16. He's becoming a young man. He's growing his little peach fuzz. And his voice has changed. No more cute little voice. And he is very precious to us. One of the things that we are very concerned about is his diet. He doesn't eat much. One thing we noticed and heard about autistic children is that they are very fussy eaters, and our son is extremely fussy. He eats very little, and he eats in a unconventional way. His typical diet consists of chicken nuggets, French fries, mashed potatoes, scrambled eggs, macaroni and cheese, pizza, and the cakes, the cookies. But he doesn't eat my wife's home cooking, and it's very frustrating for my wife, and it's frustrating for me as well. And he happens to eat a lot of garbage food, fast food, so we're very discouraged with that. And the school is having difficulties also with his eating habits, but they're working with him and working with the nutritionist, and they're making adjustments for him specifically. He earns money doing chores, so they bank his money and they use it to buy food at the supermarket. He happens to like macaroni and cheese, so when he has to have a certain macaroni and cheese, I believe it's the Stouffer's, the frozen Stouffer's, which I love too, but due to my transition I gave it up because I need to keep my girlish figure, and my son has to have that, so they use the money to buy him Stouffer's macaroni and cheese and other food items. But we are concerned because he's losing weight. He's lost about 8 to 10 pounds within a few weeks, and that's a big concern for us. Now, with regard to the parallels between autism and transgender, my son is feeling isolated When I was growing up, I felt isolated. My son has a low self-esteem. When I was growing up, I had a low self-esteem. My son is very depressed at times. When I was growing up, I was very depressed at times. My son has stated on occasion that he wanted to die. When I was a kid, I also stated that I wanted to die. My son expresses frustration. When I was growing up, I expressed frustration. My son has trouble making friends. When I was growing up, I had trouble making friends. My son tries to find interests that take him away from his sadness. When I was growing up, I tried to find things to do to keep me away from my sadness. So you get the picture? There are many similarities between being autistic and being transgender. And I can relate to my son because of that. And I have brought my son with my wife and me to family therapy sessions where we talked about my son's issues, my issues, and my wife's issues. And we discussed it as a family, and we gave Maddie a chance to express his feelings, my wife a chance to express her feelings, and me to express my feelings. And we've benefited greatly from those meetings, and I find that they are very valuable, and I believe anyone who is raising an autistic child, that you consider family therapy, and you consider parent support groups. It's not easy raising an autistic child. My son has had tantrums. Thankfully, his tantrums have diminished, but when he was growing up, it has been very difficult. He's had meltdowns in public places, and it was very difficult for me to control his behaviors. And I have to try to distract him and get him on a task, but it's not that easy. And my son also struggles with his self-esteem, and he also has a seizure disorder. He's diagnosed in addition to his Asperger's, which is a form of autism, high functioning. He also has epilepsy. Thankfully, he's taking Depakote, which has controlled his seizures immeasurably. And he has some forms of mental illness, which is inherited in our family history. So he's got a lot of struggles, and I know what he's going through because I've been there. So when he comes home, we do a lot of things. Excuse me, that's not ladylike. We do a lot of things together. I take him to the movies. I take him for pizza. I take him to Target, Walmart, Roosevelt Field, a big mall near us in Garden City, New York. I take him on road trips. We drive to New Jersey. take him to the park. I've taken him to the water park in the summertime. And we just have a wonderful time together. And I love my son, I adore him, and I want to help him, and be there for him, and support him, and know. I want him to know that I love him dearly, and I will do anything in my power to help him. It's not easy, and I get very emotional, and it's not attributed to my hormones, the female hormones. It's just my nature, because he's my son. But I do admit that the female hormones have made me much more emotional, which I like. Plus I'm blessed now with the female hormones making me appear more feminine, which is my dream come true. And my son is happy with my transition, and I am happy that he's in a good school. So we are happy for each other, and we love each other, and we support each other. And I always encourage my son. I always try to build up his self-esteem, and I try to write and express my feelings and share it with him. And I've also tried to expose him to writing so he can express himself. And my son loves to draw. He loves movies. He loves ordering things, like putting things in alphabetical order with specific things like movies, DVDs. When he was younger, he loved to line up cars, but I think he's outgrown that. He used to like dominoes and doing chain reactions too, but he outgrew that. He used to like Legos, but sadly he outgrew that. So we tried to find things that interest him. He does like doing photography, and on occasion I do videos with my son, and when he comes home I'm planning to do another video with him that I will put on YouTube and on my Facebook page, and I'm looking forward to that. And I just pray for my son that he will be able to grow up and have a somewhat normal life. And I hope he will have a girlfriend, and I hope he will go on to further his education, and I hope he will eventually be able to be independent and maybe be able to drive a car and experience what young adults experience. That would be my dream. I just want my son to be happy and to find his way, and he will always be with us. I don't want to put him in a home. We will be there for him. We will support him, and we will always love him and do everything in our power to help him. Life's not easy. It wasn't easy for me.